Hey, good morning and welcome to the Vet S.O.S show brought to you by the Who You Know Network. Remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S Life Preserver. I hope you are ready for some serious knowledge bombs being dropped today. We got some great guests bringing us some great information. I'm here as always with my partner, co-host Mark Elder. Mark, how you doing today?
Doing terrific. I am outstanding and ready for a great few segments of guests here. We're ready to spread some knowledge and share the resources that we have out here with the veteran service organizations and all of the great interviews that we have coming up here. We've got some fire going on, so get ready for some bombs to be dropped, like Sean said. Drop those mics and strap in. We've got a great show, great couple of shows here for you.
Absolutely. We're going to be kicking it off with Joe Gianti. Then we got Brian Arrington coming on after that. Jane Babcock's going to come back and visit us. And then Marina Rabanek is going to close out the day. It's going to be some great information. As always, we're using Restream. So if you want to pair your channels with us and broadcast this live over your channels, hit us up in the chat with pairing, hashtag pairing, and we'll know how to do it. Oh. Got another special guest there too, right there. All right.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, let's give some shout outs. I see we've already got some people in the comments in the chat. Good morning, Chandra Thomas. Great to see you. Good morning, Mark Silverstein. Great to see you as well. Thanks for joining in. Super excited for today. So glad to have you join us. Also, be sure to rep your city where you're tuning in from, and also if you are searching, make sure that you rep what you're searching for. Let us know what you are searching for, what you're trying to transition into as far as industry or career field, what your expertise is, and if you are a resource, recruiter, talent acquisition professional, hiring manager, make sure that you type in the chat and let us know what you are searching for. This network is huge, and we'd love to connect you and be a sourcing partner with you.
Outstanding. So let's jump right into it here. We got Joe Gianti with us. Joe has always had a profound love and respect for all those who have chosen to put on the nation's uniform. He spent some time at the Virginia Military Institute, meeting some incredible individuals whose friendship continues today. But he himself is not a veteran. He goes out of his way to support veterans through his veteran support organization, Canine Heroes for Heroes. His personal goal is to do as much as possible to repay those who have chosen to defend our country. Canine Heroes for Heroes provides service dogs to veterans and first responders, change dogs and handlers by providing necessary equipment, initial veterinary costs, and associated follow-up training. We are 100% funded through charitable donations. Joe, how are you doing today? It sounds like you got a full house already.
Yeah, doing very well. You could hear Loki jumping into the podcast. He was just saying hi. Appreciate you guys having me on. I'm absolutely honored to be in this lineup of amazing individuals. And first and foremost, thank you guys for your service. You know, Sean.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Sean, I'm not a veteran. It's a little late in my stage of my life to do that. So this is my way to pay back you guys that have done so much. And as you read in kind of my little kickoff bio, the profound love and respect I have for all our veterans and all our first responders is why I'm doing this.
Well, thank you for your service with what you do as well, because it's greatly needed. There are, and we're going to get into that, but there are so many people that aren't plugged in, that aren't getting resources, that aren't getting support. They're trying to do it on their own. And so I love what you said, which is pay it forward, right? Yeah. In essence, you're paying it forward. And that's what we're all about as well, paying it forward.
And one of these days, I'm going to remember which one of my LinkedIn contacts said this, but he said, for those of us that didn't serve those that did. And I'm trying to live by that. It's a great motto. And if that individual is listening, please shoot me a PM so I can start giving you credit for that saying. But my partner, Kennel, also coined the phrase, healing is healing. So the two different healings, the one healing in the heart and the other, the dog healing. So it's another kind of sticks with me and really holds true, because I know what Loki, my dog, does for me. And depending on who you ask, I don't have any problems. If you ask my wife, she'll probably say no, he has quite a few. But I know what he does for me, and having him by my side is just phenomenal. And I want that for everybody else.
That's outstanding. I have to ask you. I mean, I'm a dog person. Love dogs. Love German Shepherds specifically. I have an 18-month-old that literally, as a toddler, is tearing up my entire house. Every floorboard where it comes to a point, she is chewed. So when I get ready to move, I have to redo all of them. But I wouldn't trade her for the world. Her personality, what she brings into the house, the energy, it's amazing. So I appreciate the being a dog person. But what made you get into doing service dogs?
It really was my. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step over you. It was just my pure, profound love for the military and first responder community. It's what can I do? I still have my full-time day job, so I'm trying to build this up. But what can I do to repay them for everything they've done? That's really what it is. You start with the dog, saw what the benefit it had on me, and what other people could see the dog was doing for me. And I wanted to share that, work with a few veterans that were in the dog community. And it just kind of sparked my interest. Okay, I'm not at their caliber of trainer. I consider myself a novice. I mentor under my partner, Kennel, who I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit, and some other individuals. And just looking at how I can repay this community and what I can do for it. Again, it just all goes back to just the absolute love and respect for what you guys have done to put on the uniform, because you guys know better than I do. The battle doesn't end when you take the uniform off. And I want to be there. I've said if I put a dog out there that helps one person, and that's all I'm able to do up until the day I die, then I did good. I helped that one person who I have no doubt will go on to help many others.
So do you come from a military family background, or how did you get started? Why are you so passionate about helping veterans? Right?
Well, my dad was in the Army. My father-in-law was in the National Guard. Neither of them were combat. They were kind of in between the wars, but I had quite a few uncles that were World War II veterans. And, as a kid, you sit back and listen to their stories because they wouldn't talk to anybody but each other. So you hear some phenomenal stories. I actually have the telegram sent to my grandfather that my mother was born during World War II. He was still in the States, but it was kind of neat. And then I'm a lifelong martial artist. My martial arts instructor he's retired now, but he was a police officer and a deputy sheriff. And then I went to the Virginia Military Institute with the full intentions of going in the service, but life takes you in different directions. So I have all those guys that your classmates are called your brother rats. So I have all my brother rats who I just have profound respect for that chose to put the uniform on. So it's just throughout my life, I've been in that community with those individuals. And it's just, I was brought up that way, to respect police, law enforcement, guys in the service. I thank every veteran. I see my kids do that now, which I love the fact they see a veteran, they thank him for their service. They see a cop, they thank him. So it's kind of just been lifelong.
Yeah, Sean and I were talking about that the other day, where, and I think maybe even in one of our interviews, I had talked about this, where I wasn't even born here, right? I was born in Korea.
Okay.
I was adopted at 5 months old, and kind of the same thing. I love this country. I love that I'm able to serve. I did serve, and I'm very patriotic. So, maybe even more so, I guess, from that regard than a lot of Americans. Right?
Yeah, I believe that. You see that a lot with individuals like yourself who weren't born here. Matter of fact, if you go back to World War I, my great grandfather was in the American Army, but still an Italian citizen. And they come out, they get their citizenship, and I think you're right. A lot of times those people may have more of a respect and love for the country than those of us who are born here. Probably most of us couldn't pass the citizenship test. I might be included in that.
Yes, definitely.
My wife's naturalized too, and we talk about that all the time. She was naturalized at 12, and I don't know that I could pass it, but
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process? Like how does the process work for the training, and also how does the process work if someone wanted to get a dog?
So what we're going through right now, just a little background on Canine Heroes for Heroes. I filed all the paperwork at the beginning in January of 2021. finally got the IRS or official designation as a 501c3 in September, and then the fundraising began. So I'm working with other nonprofits that are doing the same thing. They've given me advice on how to move forward with this. And that's one of the things I've found out in this community. There are so many people willing to help. And just to back up a little bit as well, American Canine Dynamics, they're a local full training facility here. All our dogs will go through their program. They'll do a majority of the training. I'll help as well, but they're a full service kennel from the pet obedience all the way up to police dogs, which they do have a few on the street. And Travis Lloyd, who is the owner and head trainer there, he's one of my mentors. So we work together. So what it is I've gotten a lot of calls from veterans who are asking the same question. And we have a process. They have some paperwork to fill out, you know, provide your DD-214 and things of that nature. And then what we do is meet with them. If they have a dog, in which we had recently, we'll have them come out to the training facility. We'll evaluate the dog, because not all dogs are suitable for a service dog. So if they have a dog and it's suitable, then we'll start putting together a training program. The optimum is if we can provide you with that puppy, which we'll do, and take you step by step where alongside of us, you're also training your dog as well. Now, as far as what the dog is going to do, a lot of that's dependent on what the veteran or first responder needs. You know, we've got an individual right now who's going to be one of our first recipients. She was an officer locally here, got a pretty significant fight, her and her partner, and she received some traumatic brain injury. So she came out to the ranch, met myself, Travis, several of his other trainers, and just went over her story and what did she need. And some of the things she needed, which I'm sure you guys have heard before, when the veteran, the first responder goes out in public, they can be anxious. You know, it's not comfortable. Well, the dog can act as a blocking force, can go behind the person. Then they know their 6 is good. Nobody's coming up behind them. Or they can put them in front, get some separation. Or if the veteran or first responder is starting to, for lack of a better word, zone out, starting to focus on something, the dog can nudge them, put some pressure on them to where they got to break their concentration and focus on the dog. So a lot of it can be dependent on what they need. Eventually, we hope to move into where maybe it's an amputee or somebody with their traumatic brain injury has caused them to be immobile, where the dog can go pick up their medicine, go open the door, things of that nature. So a lot of it's going to be dependent on what they need. And then the training will continue. All the puppies start out staying at the training facility, getting daily training sessions with the certified trainers at American Canine Dynamics. And then through that process, the veteran or first responder is going out several times a week so that we can start training them. Because sometimes the most difficult part of training a dog is training the handler. When we got lucky, I looked at my wife and daughter. I said, the hardest part about training him is going to be training you two. Because it's that, yeah, you can imagine that went over well.
Break out the stock collars.
Yeah. She wants to put it on me.
Exactly.
It's that consistency.
Yeah. And I know that, you know, the lead time is sometimes, depending on the need, very long. Who is coming to you guys, right? Is it nationally, internationally?
I've actually been getting calls nationally. Obviously, we have to start out locally, you know, where we have people that can come to the training facility. But if it is somebody nationally, I will recommend them to some of the other organizations. Just a couple I'd love to give a shout out to. Mutts with a Mission. They're one of the large organizations. They reached out to me. Hey, how can I help? Here's some forms. Go ahead and change them to suit you. Forgotten Coast Canines, another one. Hey, how can I help? Saving Grace Canines. We're all in the same industry. But the way I say it to people is this is an industry that cannot be oversaturated. The need for service dogs is only going to increase. It's not going to decrease. Yeah, we can be fighting for the same pools of money, but I think we all have the same mindset. Is the goal is to help the veteran or first responder, not Canine Heroes for Heroes. Canine Heroes for Heroes is just a name that's going to push the dog to the right person, but we want those people taken care of. So I've gotten some national calls, and I've said, hey, tell me who's in your area. If I don't know somebody, I'll see if I can get them, and you can reach out to them as well. So I haven't found too many people in this industry that aren't willing to help. Of course, you've got a few here and there, but you just separate yourself from them and you go to the ones that are of like mindset.
Yeah, that's a shame though that I haven't run into anybody yet in the military transition space that isn't willing to help in one way, shape, or form. So far, it's been completely amazing. I did read because I was doing some research on the military working dogs and how they get rehomed as well.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that there's actually a shortage for the adoption purposes for military working dogs. Have you seen anything on that?
Well, one of the people I follow, and I just watched his PBS special today. You guys may or may not know Project Canine Heroes, Jason Johnson. He is probably one of the largest nonprofits. They take military working dogs, police dogs. They try to rehome them. If they can't rehome them, they built a huge facility in Tennessee where they'll take them in. And the ones they do rehome, they'll help pay for veterinary costs. And that's another of the community. Jason's huge. I mean, they're big enough. They rang the bell at the opening day of NASDAQ. That's how big they are. Wow. On LinkedIn, he posted a comment, "Hey, how can I help you?" Of course, I had my little fanboy moment. Yay, But that's what, about how the community is willing to help each other. And we spoke just the other day, just because he's so busy, it was hard to connect. And hey, how can I help? What suggestions I can give you? So you've got Project Canine Hero. I know you've got, I think it's the Warrior Dog Foundation, Mike Ritlin, who is a retired Navy SEAL. And then there's a couple out there. So those organizations are starting to come up as well. But you got to think about those dogs also. Those aren't the average dog. You've got to have somebody that knows what they're doing to be able to handle a dog like that. I'm sure you guys saw the movie that came out, Dog. I can't remember the actor's name. I know a lot in the training community, dog community. We're all worried everybody's going to go out and buy a Malinois. But that movie actually did a pretty good job of showing that this is not the average pet. And I describe those dogs to people that it's a dog on crack. I mean, it's, the only times it stops moving is when it's sleeping. And I don't even know if it stops then. But to get, to your point, is just they've got to be very selective on how they rehome those dogs because they've seen a lot. And I've heard stories from those communities where they've actually had to put some of them down because they were too far gone, which is sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super sad. What about those transitioning, right? They've got PTSD, they've got maybe other disabilities. They've got, like me, I'm diabetic. I know they have dogs that actually can tell if your blood sugar is too high or too low. But let's talk about like people that are in transition, whether they're transitioning from active duty or maybe it's a veteran or family of a service member that's in a job hunt, right?
Yeah.
And they have a service dog. How are you seeing that work into somebody's search? Is it deterring employers from hiring somebody? Is it accepted?
I don't have a whole lot of experience on that, but what I can tell you is, and you guys know this as well, you can't deny a service dog entry unless the dog is acting up, barking, biting, has an accident. You really can't deny a service dog. So I was at the local Kubota store the other day and an individual had his dog in there. I don't think it was a service dog, but he had it there. So I think it's becoming more and more accepted. As I'm out in the community with Loki, I love hearing parents say, "Oh, the little kid, of course, oh, look, a doggy." And the parents are like, "Oh yeah, it's a service dog, so you can't pet it." So it's starting to become, from what I see, more and more accepted, more and more understood. And I hope that translates over into the job search. But I don't want to say anything to the veteran that may be transitioning that may be wrong. I just know, like, I went to a restaurant that we go to quite often the other day, and must have been somebody new, and they asked if we were eating inside or out. And I said, "Well, I planned on eating inside." And I said, "Well, the health department said we can't have dogs in here." I said, "Well, the health department's wrong." I said, "But I have no problem. We'll go outside. I like the place. I like the people." I said, "I just want you to know if somebody were to fight you on this, you're going to lose. You can't deny a service dog entry based on the ADA guidelines." And I would encourage anybody with a service dog to really understand the ADA regulations, to know where and where you cannot go. The cannot go, there aren't too many places you can't go with a service dog. But just we all know people abuse it. Put a vest on my 3-pound choo-choo-doodle or whatever the heck, and it's yipping and barking and running. That's not what it's intended for. And that's my goal, is to bring the awareness up as well. I don't let people pet Loki when we're out because he's working, and they're starting to understand. I'll say, no, he's working right now, but thank you, because the service dog needs to be keyed in on the handler, not everybody around him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the key things we teach them is focusing. Like you were talking about the diabetic service dogs, and you and I had before we went live. I love telling this story because it amazes me, because I don't even know how to do it. I was listening to, I think it was the Shook podcast, and they had individual on that trained diabetic service dogs. This dog woke up out of its own sleep to wake the owner up that the owner was about to have something. That just blows my mind. The dog's asleep, the owner's asleep, and everybody's good to go now. So
that's crazy. That's just insane, mind-blowing that, they can be trained to do that.
What these dogs can do amazes me more and more every day. Every time I learn, I look at Loki. If he's not doing something right, it's because I didn't teach him the right way to do it. It's not his fault. He can only do what I've shown him. But you guys know what you've seen the military working dogs, what they can do is amazing. You got search and rescue dogs, cadaver dogs, COVID dogs now. It's amazing what they can do. And it's far better. I look at it as the medication I hear that they put a lot of guys on with PTSD and TBI. And I talked to a veteran the other day who, it's a cornucopia of pills that it's horrible, and I know a lot of them, once they get a dog, they're good to go. Not 100%, but they're it changes their lives.
That is absolutely amazing. I can hardly get my dog to sit, nonetheless teach it to do anything else at this point. But she does. My brother
talk more about that.
Yeah, my brother taught her how to do high five, and she's been the hit of the veterinary clinic ever since she was about a month old, because she could jump up and give high fives. So that's her big thing. And, so we hang on to that one. But so I have a lot of friends, transitioning service members that own dogs.
Yes.
If you had to, if someone required a service dog, would you recommend, or would there be recommendations, like if they have a bunch of dogs already, or are there things that they should be, certain types of dogs that maybe they should be trying to have, or what have you, that'll be more compatible, if you brought a service dog into the house?
There are some that are more compatible. You don't always want a dog that's super high drive. Malinois aren't always the best service dogs unless you know how to handle one. So what you're trying to do is also pair the dog with the individual. Is the individual, even though they need a service dog, they still may be very active. So you don't want to get them a lazy dog. You want to get them an active dog. But there was in the civilian side of things, there was somebody that came to me, their spouse needed a service dog, and I know the individual and I know his spouse, and I'm like, you don't want a shepherd. You don't want a Malinois. You need something calm and that doesn't require a lot of attention, or not attention, but a lot of energy. So yeah, you definitely have to look at what's the end goal for the dog and what type of person is it. Can they handle high drive, or do they need a lower drive dog? So yeah, it's all dependent. You really can't say this is your best service dog. I mean, you see a lot of oh my goodness, I just lost my complete train of thought. Golden retrievers and things of that nature that make good service dogs. But again, it's really dependent on what the end goal of the dog is.
Yeah, that's understandable. You definitely want to try to match the personality with the dog. I can see that. Otherwise, you get a little crazy. So we are getting towards the end.
Yeah.
How can people help you? So how can people support what you guys are trying to do? And also, what's the best way that people can connect with you?
I'll tell you, where I get most of my traction is actually on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn blows my Facebook and Instagram away as far as followers. I wouldn't be on this show if it wasn't for LinkedIn. There's a couple other things that I was able to be part of because of LinkedIn, but I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. If you look at my profile, there's an email address, there's a cell phone number. Of course, always donations are we need donations. I've got people wanting to offer dogs, but I need the money to train them as well. So if you can't afford to donate, share our story. You guys know you get that algorithm going, it pushes you up. More and more people are going to see it. If you know philanthropic individuals, corporations, companies that may be interested, we're going to be the charity of a car show coming up here in our local area. But pass on my information. Yeah, pass on my information. As you guys have already figured out in this 30 minutes, I'm not a very shy individual. So I have no problem talking with anybody about our mission. And when they see what we're trying to do and they see our training facility at American Canine Dynamics, they're going to want to jump on board. It's an amazing training facility with amazing trainers as well. So yeah, if you can donate, great. Look us up on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. The website's getting developed right now. I know I need that for some of the organizations I actually want to be part of, but give me a phone call. I'll take that call. I might not be able to answer it right away, but I will get back with you.
What about people looking for work? I mean, are you guys looking to bring in people, additional trainers, things like that?
Eventually, I'm not there yet. As the organization grows, most definitely we will. But right now, we're very small. American Canine Dynamics has 3 full-time trainers and an administrator right now. They're going to grow leaps and bounds as well when people see what they can do from pet obedience to these service dogs. And again, they have police dogs out on the street already. So as we grow, absolutely we will. That would be an absolute dream, is if I start hiring veterans and first responders as trainers. But just remember, you guys out there, you can train your own service dog. That's allowed by the ADA. You really can. Just follow the guide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look at the ADA regulations, it does not have to be a professional organization. I would recommend it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, and if you're passionate, right, about that industry, I guess if you want to call it an industry, there's always volunteer opportunities. So if you're in Ohio and you want to, get in touch with Joe and do some volunteering, fantastic. But for you that are in transition, you may not have that volunteering on your resume, right? Maybe you haven't done a lot of, charitable work, volunteering, etc. And I actually just talked to somebody and they had said that that's one of the first things that they look for. They go to the page, bottom of page 2 on people's resumes and look at what they're doing, right? As far as giving back. And those people go to the top of the pile. So that's a great way to get involved too.
But, veterans, first responders out there that are watching this, even if you just want an ear to chew, I'm here for you. I may not be able to, I won't know what you've gone through because I haven't been there, but I can be an ear for you to chew on. And I can be a good listener for you. So outside of dogs, I'm here for whatever this community needs.
That's outstanding. Definitely appreciate you coming on today, Joe, telling us your story, sharing with us and the audience the great things you guys are doing for first responders and veterans. Just an amazing mission. Something near and dear to my heart. Like I said, I love German Shepherds. You and I are going to have to talk because I can barely teach her to sit. So we definitely need to link up and talk about there. But everybody watching this, please look to support Joe and his organization here. They're doing great things. The Canine Heroes for Heroes, check them out on LinkedIn. And like I said, we thank you for coming on today, Joe, and look forward to talking to you again someday.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you for your service. God bless.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S. Life Preserver. And we'll be back in one moment. All right. Welcome back to the Vet SOS podcast. We have a very special guest with us on next, Mr. Brian Yarrington, retired Air Force, president, founder of Vets Industry and Vets Industry Foundation, Inc., and director, military programs and recruiting for Military Hiring Accelerator, LLC. I love your story, Brian, how you started Vets Industry because you saw the gap. You saw the knowledge gap. You realized something had to be fixed. And you turned it into something. And honestly, I tell everybody this, Vets Industry is the biggest, baddest thing out there. You guys have just this huge market. I believe we're, 75,000 plus now?
Almost. We're at 73,000. So we should hit 75 in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. And, talking with people like you and then Bruce and Alfredo, point blank, there's so many organizations out there. And then you got something like Vets Industry. It's like, I don't need to go start anything. I'm going to volunteer to help other people, which is why I'm now one of your volunteers trying to help with the research piece, because I like doing that. So yeah. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Life's great.
Yeah.
I just came back. I have to say, give a shout out to the Entrepreneur Bootcamp for Veterans out of IVMF, Institute of Veterans and Military Families from Syracuse. I was able to participate in an in-residence last week in Missouri University, and it was phenomenal. Greg Beer, the director, ran a great week. I learned so much more about what I could be doing to best or better Vets to Industry, from Google Analytics and creating a business page to financials and just all sorts of things and new services. Matter of fact, I just launched a new service yesterday, which I haven't even announced yet, so I'll announce it on this show.
Oh,
wow! Breaking news.
Yeah.
So now that program is through IVMF, right?
Yeah, the Institute of Veterans and Military Families. Phenomenal program. There are so many resources that IVMF services they provide. The Onward to Opportunity is a phenomenal resource that people that are transitioning out should utilize. You get a free certification in a ton of different. You can only pick one, but there's a ton of different ones to choose from cyber IT to PMP to Agile to SHRM. So you should definitely check out Onward Opportunity through the Institute of Veterans and Military Families, IVMF.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal program. They got some great things going on. And I know you guys usually have, at least try to have a rep on there. You guys talk about them on the various V2I networking events.
Right.
So you saw this gap when you were getting out. And you just decided, you know what, I'm going to take over the world and create the biggest, baddest organization out there? Or it just sort of morph into that?
So to be honest, I was pissed off. So going back the year before I transitioned, before I retired from the Air Force after 20 years, 1 month and 12 days. So March of 2000, not counting. Every single retiree knows the exact day that they got out. Countdown. So the year before I got out is 2018. I found LinkedIn by accident. Had no idea what LinkedIn was, and when I found it was through a commercial on the news at like 11 o'clock at night. It said join 500 million of us. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like a job board? So I got on there and I was looking. I was like, I don't see the jobs on here, and I'm a year out, and I don't know when you should start looking for jobs. Nobody ever told me. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll apply now. 365 days out for when I can get a job, and that's the naivety that I had. But I got on LinkedIn and I found this group, the Veterans Mentor Network. If you are on LinkedIn, a LinkedIn user, you should definitely find this group. It's got over 150,000 mentors on there that are wanting to help you out. But there's other mentorship programs which I'll cover during this interview. And so I got on there, and this individual reached out to me almost immediately saying, hey, let us know, what your desired role is, what your geographic location, when you can start working, and tell the whole group. So I did that. And within about 2 minutes, I had this individual, Army E7 Ranger at a Fort Benning, Georgia. I was stationed at Warner Robins. Tell me about this program called Centurion Military Alliance that's put on by Dr. Shante Hall. And it's, he said it's like TAP on steroids. I'm like, how can that be? So one day TAP. So I was like, I don't get it, but I'm going to go. So the next day I went to this transition class. And in the first 30 minutes, I learned that there's over 45,000 veteran service organizations nationwide that provide free services and support to us and our families. And I got pissed off. So here I am, a senior SEO, E7 in the Air Force. And all I can think back to is 2002 when I put on E5. And all of the airmen that I had let get out the military without setting them up for success on the outside due to my own ignorance of all these free resources that existed. And then it hit me and I started crying. And in this class, I'm in the front row because it immediately hit me. How many of those airmen are part of the 22 that have killed themselves a day since then, or unemployed, or underemployed, or on substance abuse, divorced, or homeless, or incarcerated? All because Sergeant Brian Arrington, didn't give them the resources because I didn't know that could have given them hope leaving the service. So I immediately go home. I said, there's got to be a site where all these free resources are. So I'm digging around, I'm looking everywhere, and I can't find a single site repository where all the free resources are co-located. I'm like, this is asinine. How can this not exist? How can people know there's 45,000 of them and without there being a central repository? So I couldn't do anything then about it. I mean, I was a military cop. I didn't know how to build a website or anything like that. So I spent the next 6 months really learning everything I possibly can about transitioning from some of the greats, Michael Quinn, Justin Pearson, Eric Schlachter, Corey Boatwright, Daniel Savage. So all these individuals, John Phillips, Roger Rowley, learning about all the free resources that are out there and how to successfully transition. At the end of that 6-month window, I did a post on LinkedIn. I only had about 600 followers at that time. I was just happy I hit the 500 mark, right? And so I had this individual reach out to me and say, hey, I see that you talk a lot to transitioning service members, because I would regurgitate everything that I learned back to my network so that they could learn what I was learning. Yep. And he said, I'm getting out of the Navy this month, and this was December 2018. And January 1st, I'm starting with Orion Talent, and I'm going to have access to 700 jobs, but I don't have any veterans in my network. Can you help get the word out? I was like, oh, yeah. My New York swag came out. I was like, oh, I got you with this one, brother. So I did one little post. I say, veterans, career opportunities. Post below your desired career role, desired geographic location, and when you can start working. And my friend Chris Dove will help you find a job anywhere in the nation. Such an ignorant post, especially with someone who has 600 followers. But it was so original that it went viral. When I say viral, at the end of 4 weeks, we had 850 or 840,000 views on that one post.
Oh my gosh.
It became a 24/7 virtual career fair because I had companies like Norwegian Cruise Lines and Bank of America and Amazon and all these companies coming and posting their open requisitions. And I had all these service members and mil spouses posting what they were liking or wanting. And I had to get volunteers to help me sort through these 1,100 comments and start tagging people in different threads so they can connect with each other. Hence the beginning of Vets Industry, which I didn't know at the time. And so that January, what happened was we started seeing a lot of veteran advocates coming to our posts, and they were like, well, hey, have you used IVMF or Still Serving Veterans or 4Block or Bunker Labs? And the same answer kept coming out. What's that? I don't know what that is. Can I use that? I've been out the military for 3 years. And it just hit me like these people are getting out in like a week. And they don't know about SkillBridge. They missed out on that. They don't know about, free training courses. I said, these people are going to become the 22 that kill themselves a day tomorrow. Or one of those statistical categories. I said, they need a resource library now. But I didn't know how to build one. I tried on Wix for like 3 hours to build my own website and completely crashed and failed. So I was like, okay, I need to get help. So I did some cold calling. I did a Boolean search on LinkedIn, which allows you to kind of find individuals based on certain criteria. And my criteria was that there would be a veteran who has web design background. And I found like 7 people. And I sent the same message to each one that I'd like to get on a call with them. I want to build the Library of Atlantis for veterans, mill spouses, and dependent children, but I don't know how to build a website. Can you help me? Will you get on a 15-minute call with me? And about 2 hours later, I had this woman reach back out to me. Her name is Bobby Young. And I said, can you get on a 15-minute call? She's like, absolutely. Get on that 15-minute call with her. And everything changed. She said, I told her the story. And she said, not only do I want to help you on this, but I take on one free or one pro bono client a quarter, and I'm going to make you my permanent pro bono. So she built the website. I gave her 72 resources, which I had curated myself through my transition, and got it on the website. And since then, that was March 24th of 2019. I'm still in the military. I don't get out till July 1st. And since then, the website has gained over 1,000 free resources on there. And we add more every single month as we learn about them, vet them, and get them on the site. So it was really awesome. And now, I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of visitors to the website that come, over 330,000 page views of the website. We have started gaining followers like on LinkedIn like crazy, and we were getting 1,000 followers every 10 days. We're still pretty much at that window. We surpassed like Bunker Labs and 4Block and all of them. Like, it was crazy. And it was all word of mouth. I didn't pay a single dime in marketing. All this was word of mouth. And then COVID hit. So we were just a resource library. And then COVID hit, and it pissed me off again. So the second week of March, I don't know, something about March. I don't know. But the second week of March in 2020, I'm attending my last event. There's a Bunker Labs like meet and greet, and we got word from some of the other organizations that all of their meetings were now canceled nationwide. And I was like, how can that can't be? Because the service members are still getting out, but now all the events where they can meet with hiring managers and recruiters and talking to veteran advocates are all getting canceled, and they have no way of being able to meet these people now. So like 1 a.m, leaving that Bunker Labs event, I said, COVID can't beat us. So I thought back to, I was going to school for my MBA at Syracuse, which I'm still at. And we use Zoom in our group discussions and stuff. I said, but I'd never been on the other side hosting a Zoom. I thought, what if I do like group breakout rooms and people can match up together? And said, we could do this. Like, I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to do it. And I told my volunteers at the time, probably had about 30 or 40 volunteers at that time. We're up to 93 now. And they said, you're crazy, Brian. Not going to happen. And I said, oh, not only we're going to do it, we're going to do it next week. So put out a whole wish you could come, wish you'll come. And I tried to front load it with recruiters, but it wasn't going to be a career fair. because if you hold a career fair and nobody gets hired, it's a dismal failure. But if you host a networking event and people get hired, then you're exceeding expectations, because all you need to do is make connections for the networking event to meet standards. So that was my tactical ploy. But
Paying
a lot
attention in your MBA classes.
absolutely. Branding is all about it, so that's how the Best Industry events started. We had about 100 people in the first event, and then it just grew. And a lot of people know us for our networking events and not the resource library, which is like, go over to the resource library. We have so much stuff there for you. But yes, still come to the events, but come to the resource library. And
What kind of engagement? So in the events that you have, the networking, things like that. I mean, obviously, it's a lot of people that are in transition, but other resources, right, that come and participate. Who are they mingling with? Who do you have that come in as resources?
Yeah, so the perfect thing is we have recruiters that come. We have veteran service organizations from around the country that come. Matter of fact, your previous guest, Joe, he comes on the networking events as well. Talking about his canines, and then we have they're all over the place. So we have 4-block representatives. We have Hire Heroes USA representatives. I mean, just the whole spectrum will come through. And then, of course, we have colleges and universities that also come, because not everybody's desire once they leave the military is to get a job or get employed. Some want to go to higher ed. So I put out the invitation. I try to reach out to colleges and universities to come and talk about their degree programs. And if they're hiring, great, that too. But it gives those that are coming who aren't career seekers, or are career seekers, but not necessarily looking for education, and maybe their spouses, that connection point.
That's awesome. What about I guess engagement with, and you mentioned colleges and universities, but I know that there's programs out there like up in New York, Perscolas, right, is out of New York, I believe. There's like My Computer Minds and things like that. Do you have some cross training?
Warrior Scholar Project? So we don't. What we do is we direct people to free resources. So I have mentors at Best Industry who, as somebody needs help, they send an email to operations@bestindustry.org. And so if they're looking for career opportunities, or just don't know what they want to do yet in life, they can email us, and we have one of the veteran advocates that are in Best Industry as a volunteer, reach out to them and start that dialogue. We also push heavily American Corporate Partners and Federati. American Corporate Partners, for those who don't know, provides a free mentor from being a senior executive or a congressman or astronaut. They have baseball presidents, all sorts of stuff, all the way down to senior program managers in every single industry. And they will provide for you for free a mentor for a year in whatever kind of industry you want or you're desiring. Actually, when you apply, if you tell them that you found out from Best Industry, you'll actually get priority placement. So within a couple of days, you'll be set. So you can skip the line of all. I
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's a hookup right there.
I just started ACP. It's phenomenal program. So
and the cool thing is, some people don't get great fits at the beginning, and that's okay. Don't be scared to ask for a new mentor. I was scared. The first mentor I had, we just didn't click. She was a lot older, and I didn't really get a lot out of it. Like we didn't create that bond that I wanted, and so I told my ACP liaison, and within that week, I had a new mentor, and we clicked like glue. We're still friends. Matter of fact, he's on my board of advisors. Brian Ostrowski from Coca-Cola. He's a senior program manager for the Simply brand for all of North America. So that's the kind of people that they get, and we text each other every week. We keep in touch.
As this thing started to morph, okay, you determined you're going to have this networking event. You're going to do it next week.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with 5 hours?
So great thing. So I picked that time because you have West Coast, East Coast, and overseas. And so you want to provide the opportunity for all of them to meet each other. And especially transitioning overseas is difficult because you don't know any recruiters stateside. So you're transitioning the states and then you're trying to find employment. Well, that's backwards. You should have some kind of network before you transition to the states so that you can go into an employment opportunity. So I do the 5 hours. It's come and go as you please. So people, it's like a hotel bar. Everybody's gone to a hotel bar before, and everybody wants that hotel bar to be open 24/7, right? Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to drink there 24/7. I mean, unless you're a Marine, but you want it's a ding on the Marines. Hey, Alfredo, Bruce. So you want the opportunity to go whenever you want, but it doesn't mean you're going to stay there the whole time. It's choice. And so that's why we created the networking events to be 5 hours. The first hour we spend with a keynote speaker, somebody who really knows the game, either on transitioning or career development or whatever the case may be. And then we go into our sponsor for the event. Every event we try to get a sponsor, and the sponsors get a lot of extra things that the regular recruiters and veteran service organizations don't get. And that's 4 weeks banner on our front page of our website where we get tons of clicks and direct links to their page. So sponsor will talk for 3 minutes, whereas everybody else only gets 30 seconds. And they can provide slideshows and such. So once that's done, if we have any supporting sponsors, then they go for 2 minutes. And after that, we introduce all the recruiters that have come to the event. And we have them raise their hands in order, and we call on them, and they give a 30-second elevator pitch about what their company provides, why somebody should work at their company. It's like a reverse interview. Once all that's done, we go to our first breakout session. And the breakout sessions are randomized between 8 to 10 people. And we usually get between 350 to 500 people on our events. So it's significant. So we might have 30 to 40 breakout rooms open.
Wow.
And Vest Industry volunteers are the ones facilitating those rooms. Or if we're short facilitators, then I tell everybody at the beginning, the one who's been to the most networking events is going to be the facilitator for that room. And their job is not to control the room. It's just to make sure no one person takes control and speaks the whole time. That everyone gets their 30-second elevator pitch in again, where it be a transitioning service member, whether it be a recruiter, a veteran service organization, and so on. So yeah, that's the 5 hours is so people can come and go. If a lot of people, they get addicted to it, so they'll come from the beginning like, I'm only going to spend an hour here. And they're there at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and like, hey, can we continue? Bruce used to do these happy hours from 7 to 8, and I just don't have the stamina to do it from 7 to 8. So if Bruce is there later in the day on the event, then I give him the reins to host the happy hour. Because people just want to talk and get things off their chest, and it's really intimate. And then we just keep switching from breakout room to intermission, where veteran service organizations all talk for 30 seconds, and then another breakout room, and then we go, and it's all randomized. So you're getting different people in each room that you go to. So you really get to connect.
That's awesome. I'm like everybody else. The first time I'm like, man, I don't have 5 hours to do this with. And then next thing you know, it's over. You're like, wow, that was amazing. What happened? Where'd the time go?
Why is my butt hurting?
So, Amazing story. I honestly had never heard that before. Just the whole birth of the thing, truly amazing. So I know I started volunteering with B2I. I love what you do. I love the program. I love giving back to it. How can people help?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one is spread the word about the resource library within your command. If you're still active duty, we need you, because veteran service organizations are not taught in TAP. And so because of that, we have a significant disadvantage when we get out the military. So if you're a senior leader or even a junior member, and you've got friends that are getting out the military or whatever, or you hold like a lunch and learn and talk, bring up the Vets Industry website, show people how they can search and by category, by location and whatnot. Other thing is we are a 501c3. So we're always looking for companies that want to come and sponsor us annually. I have an announcement coming very soon about a Fortune company that is donating a sizable $25,000 to us to be our first annual sponsor. And I'll be putting out a challenge to other companies to get on the bandwagon now while we're still relatively small, because we will take over. I plan on going international in about 5 to 7 years. So yeah, it's going to be big. We won't just be taking care of the U.S. military. We'll be taking care of the Australian military, because they don't know about the free resources when they get out. And then England, and then Canada, same thing. So we're going to have a V2I international. So that's my
awesome
plans.
Yeah. Well, I got a gold nugget from you, and, for our viewer audience, I want to just reiterate that, which is, especially if you were overseas, right? Offshore duty stations, and you're talking about coming back and out processing, going through TAP and doing all that. Once you get back stateside CONUS, I mean, look, you can't wait. You've got LinkedIn at your fingertips. You've got all the social media platforms at your fingertips. We're born through the Who You Know network, right? Which says it all, right? It's not as much what you know, it's who you know. And you can start all of that right now. You can start it from Ramstein. You can start it from, Kunsan. I'm Air Force 2, so I'm just naming Air Force bases.
Nice.
I mean, hey, look, you can start that while you're still overseas and have this network already birthed and born and ready to go by the time that you're getting ready to
connect with Vets Industry. I'm telling you, that's the easiest way. We also do international events for Pacific and for the European theater. So we'll have specific times that are more conducive to you over there, where you can meet with recruiters and stuff. So we do that each quarter. We started it last quarter. And if people are willing to donate, I mean, we get, $10 to $50 to $100 here and there. We'd appreciate that. Companies who want to sponsor us for an event or for one of our webinars, please reach out to me so we can get something set up. And also you can buy some of our apparel on our website. So
I'm glad you brought that up. Since I volunteer for you, I'm going to call you out right now.
Do it.
You don't carry 4 extra large, extra long shirts on your site. So how is a volunteer like myself supposed to get a shirt?
So I will work on that, because I know the owner of Proper Patriot, who does our shirt design, and I will ask him specifically for that shirt size for you.
Absolutely, I'm all in. I'll definitely pick it up if you guys can get me a 4X extra long.
Right. That's awesome. Sean and I have never met in person physically, so I had no idea you were that big, Sean. You're
don't say that. That's mean.
Not big, but you're just, I mean, tall.
Yep.
I don't know how tall he is even. So
6'6".
Man, all right. Well, I'm gonna go pick me up an XL. I'll be good. I'll be good.
Yeah, we look the same height right now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're all the same here. Make sure that you guys are showing some love with Brian. Take a screenshot picture right now, blow him up, tag him in your social media platforms, tag Vets to Industry, Man, what a great resource. I mean, I got out in 99, so I had little to no resources, and Sean
Yeah.
and you guys are just opening my mind to all of the things that are out there. I love it. I love this. So
You can't get through our website in one day. Just check it out.
not
there
a
you go.
chance. So appreciate you coming on today, Brian, man. Great story.
Thank you.
Love what you're doing. Keep it up. And, you're the first one I recommend. That's the industry. Then toss in there 50 strong after that.
Yeah.
And then 4 block commit, some of the big ones out there. But we always start with B2I in my book. Just amazing stuff. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me come on.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Talk to you later. And please stand by. Be back shortly. Welcome back to the Vet S.O.S show, brought to you by the Who to Know Network. Remember, it's don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S Life Preserver. I am so happy, Mark, to be back here with our next guest, Jane Babcock. Miss
Welcome,
Babcock
Jane.
has been helping potential recruits, military members, and veterans understand their current or future benefit eligibilities for over 20 years. Now retired from the Kewaunee County's Veteran Service Office, Jane continues to enjoy the chance to meet and teach veterans, their family members, and various service providers who frequently interact with our fellow veterans. She's a wealth of knowledge. I've personally done, I think we talked at least 30 minutes about the different benefits that I needed to check out. Just a huge wealth of knowledge. Jane, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. How are you doing today? Uh-oh, I think you're muted.
Oh yeah, we're not getting your audio, Jane. So while she's coming in with her audio, one of the things that we can do on the front end is make sure that you connect with Jane. I'm going to put up her LinkedIn information here in the lower third. So be sure to connect with her because, like Sean said, I mean, she is just a wealth of knowledge and is going to have a ton of resources for you guys.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hey, welcome, Jane.
Perfect. I just wanted to say hello. Yes, life is getting much better now that the bruising from my accident has disappeared, so I can be on camera. But sometimes age brings an uncoordination that we didn't expect.
It can. Yes, it can.
I'm learning that much earlier than I wanted to, I think.
So
it's surprising. We don't feel our age, but yet we have a tendency to act it sometimes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing. I mean, and so you're up in Kewaunee. You're in Wisconsin, right?
Yes, I actually live in a little town called Manitowoc, which is south of the city of Manitowoc.
I see.
You did really good saying Kewaunee. Most people don't get it right. Or even
well, I'm from a little town west of Rockford, Illinois, right on the border.
Okay, so you're used to the Indian dialect.
Yes, there we go.
So
well, tell us more about the Kewaunee County's VSO and what you guys are doing, some of the resources that you bring in.
Well, I'm retired from the office, so I'm no longer technically an accredited veteran service officer, but I spent 12 years. I started out in Manitowoc City and then moved up to Kewaunee 7 years later, but I'm not physically moved. I still live down south of Manitowoc. So as a veteran service officer, whether you work for a county, a state, or a veteran organization, you have to go through annual training. You have to first do your initial training along with state training. You have to take a 4-hour test. You have to be cleared by the VA to have access to their computer network. So that is really, and the other most important thing is they're free. Do not ever pay someone to help you with a VA application or to file an initial claim. Now, if you do get to the point where you're talking about going to a Washington, D.C. board, then yes, that's a good time to have representation at the national level, either through a national organization or through a lawyer, a VA lawyer. But please don't pay. There's so many services out there nowadays that say, we'll help you file your VA claim, but they're not even accredited. They can't file a claim. So they actually have you do it. They just tell you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they're going to charge you.
You bring up a great point too, which we say with the Who You Know network, which is, because we're helping everybody, not just veterans in that network. But a lot of people are saying, hey, do you know a resume writer? Do you know a coach, or do you know a headhunter? And, some of these people are coming at folks in career transition, with like $1,500, $3,000, $5,000 price tags, to get them landed to their next successful position. And we say that this all the time, like, yes, sometimes you need to hire somebody and sometimes you get what you pay for, but there are so many free resources out there. And such is the case with VSOs and, especially the VA side, the county, state and nationally. Don't pay for resources when there's people that are out here paying it forward, giving back, right?
Yeah. There's 32 states that pay out of your tax dollars. And then there's other states that pay at the state level. So if you're looking for a great job.
Well, that was a question I had too. Do you, as a veteran getting out of the service, you're going through that process and learning all about your benefits that you're getting. And for somebody who is interested in saying, hey, I love helping people. I love giving back. And now I'm learning about all these resources. How hard is it for somebody who's in transition from active duty to get on board with the VA or on board with one of like the county, state, or federal?
Totally easy. I had no idea what a VSO was. And I had been out. I was hired in 07, but I had been out since 04. And I had no idea. I saw an ad in the newspaper and I said, County Veteran Service Office. I wonder what they do. So someone said to me, oh, you'd be great at it. You're such a personable person. And at the time I was working at the job center, helping people that were laid off get their unemployment set up. If they fell under one of the trade acts, I was able to get them enrolled in school and things like that. They said, oh, you already have the fundamental understanding. Just go and help. And I went down and I had to take a civil service test. Here in our state, you do, which really had nothing to do with the job. But I guess they felt the need to have a requirement. And unfortunately, I was hired by a boss that I think thought that, oh, a female, she'll be quiet. She'll sit at her desk and do her job and not cause a lot of commotion.
And you're just in there rocking the boat.
Yeah.
That's great.
Had a lot of success rocking the boat, but also had several loud discussions with him about his lack of desire to help. So I left there and went up to Kewaunee. And up there, they couldn't fall over themselves quick enough to help me. Here, what do you need? Oh, you need to get this. You need to buy that. You need more money in the relief fund. Here you go. So it was great working up there. And the best part was the friends I made up there. So if Tara is seeing this, hello, Tara.
We need people with that kind of passion, though, in this field. And you're talking about all those guys that you pay to do your claims and stuff like that. Makes me think of all those used car dealerships out there that charge 50% interest to a private because they know how much they're making, and that just, I didn't realize it was that bad. But I love your story, what you do, and how you have fought and you rock the boat. I'm a passionate boat rocker myself, so I can definitely appreciate that. But are there other things you're working on?
Definitely. Unfortunately, lack of knowledge strikes both in the military and outside the military for us. There are a lot of, especially Reserve and National Guard, that's where I see it the most. And that is, you get injured, you walk into the unit administrator and you say, hey, like myself in 2003, walked in and said, hey, the neurosurgeon wants to cut my throat and he wants to put screws and strapping in my neck to hold my neck back together because we didn't realize that 8 months before that, I'd actually started the collapsing of a disc in my neck. On my part, stupid training accident at the high tech in California, getting ready to go to Afghanistan. And so they just went, oh, well, aren't you lucky? You have 21 plus. You're going to be in the retired reserves. Sign here. And I said, okay, is that what I'm supposed to do? And they went, yep. And I said, okay, because I was stoned on Vicodin. What should have happened is they should have sent me through the med board process. But as typical, the unit administrator was not someone that had years and years and years or decades of experience with regulations as far as personnel went. Just a few years before, he worked with choo-choo trains in the Army. Not his fault, but when you start going up the chain of command to the people that actually had the experience, everybody chose to ignore what was going on because it was much easier. Because a reservist or National Guard member can take 3 years to get to a med board. And they have to pay you because you have to go in once a month and go, I'm still alive. And you walk in, you walk out, and they pay you for 1 UTA. So that's a lot of paperwork for them. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of maintaining records and stuff like that they don't want to do. So they just sign you off in the retired reserves because you don't ask. And what should be happening is a med board. The last young man I worked with just before I left Kiwani was a young man with 24 years in service, 2 deployments. He'd been in an IED incident, and the collapsing discs were in his back. The VA had already rated him. The VA had already scheduled him to have a pain implant put into his spine because he was at the point where he couldn't stand for 15 minutes. He couldn't lay down for 15 minutes without muscle spasms. And yet his unit went, oh, well, in that case, you're going to get relief. You're going to get your disability pay. So you're in the retired reserves. Not considering the fact that he was going out without insurance, without pay, and the inability to work. But being a stubborn soldier, he stayed at work. His employer made job modifications, which allowed him to continue working. And unfortunately, that prevented him from getting unemployability from the VA. So he had this circle. But luckily, a Lieutenant General Maria Gervais at the Pentagon, who I spoke with about his situation, has a team of people that she's putting together to deal with some of these cases. But bureaucracy is still a long path to travel. So he's working with them, and hopefully we'll get that resolved for him.
Yeah, that's great. What about, so I have heard here locally, and I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas, North Texas, pretty good VA system. You've got the Dallas, and then right down the road, Bonham, VA hospitals. But I've seen through those organizations, through the regional VA offices here, like not career fairs, but like hiring resources and networking groups, and they'll have speakers come in and talk with veterans who are in transition. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about how people can find that information? Maybe, regionally, if they're, in Wisconsin or Illinois or California, Georgia, wherever they're at?
First and foremost, start with your local county. Start with your local organizations, your VFWs, American Legion, AMVETS, DAV, all those guys. As a CVSO, we could cross-accredit. So I was cross-accredited with 5 of the national organizations.
Excellent.
And that allowed me to, if a guy came in and said, well, I'm a member of a VFW and I want to file for hearing loss because I was on the flight line. Okay. I will assign you to your organization and represent you through your organization, so that if you had to go to national, to go to a board of veterans appeals or any of that kind of stuff, then your organization will be able to serve you at that level. And they will apply your history to your claim.
Yes. Yeah. That's important information. When I got out and was transitioning into the civilian sector, actually back into school first, I went through that process, and this was, like maybe 2000, 2001. I had no frame of reference, and I went to my county office. This was in Northern Illinois, Stevenson County. Good program. The gentlemen that worked there were very helpful. But I didn't understand that there's these other affiliations, like you had said, that are accredited, that can help. And so ultimately I did end up getting with the Military Order of the Purple Heart. And I have a question on that too, but that's one of the things that you really need to make sure that you're plugging into, because if you're trying to do it on your own, I mean, it's like the job search. If you're trying to go it on your own, man, what a lonely, hard road to toe. So I would say definitely check out that county office, but make sure that you get affiliated and you're getting help from some of those organizations that are accredited to help like that. My question was the Military Order of the Purple Heart. I actually just was contacted maybe earlier this year that said they're no longer able to represent me. So I don't know if you knew what was going on with their organization.
No, I don't know what's going on with their organization, but I will definitely check into that. It may just be the region you're in. It may be that their accredited person has either retired or, God forbid, passed away. And so they're no longer covering your region of the United States. But again, that's where it can be real important to work with a county rep or a state rep, if you have one, because they have those multiple organizations. Once they have access, it's real easy for you to, if you had to, switch over. It's like the Vietnam veterans right now. They're eliminating their representation only because of their age. Those guys are all 65 and older.
Mm-hmm.
So the only ones out here that are really doing the case representation are the county and state guys that are cross-accredited to them.
So I did have a question on the county thing. You know how, military, you serve in whatever state you're assigned to. You may be a resident of a different state. Does it matter in that sense? Like, so I'm a Florida resident. I'm currently in Georgia. If I was going to file everything or start looking into all that, would it behoove me to just do it locally? Or do I have to go back to Florida and find something aligned with my...
No. Wherever you live. Okay. That's because they're going to want to scan in records for you so that they show up. Because they have access to the VA's actual claims network, they can scan documents right into your claims file.
Oh, wow.
They scan them into the VA looks them over, says, yes, this is clear and readable. Oh, this is a birth certificate, labels it birth certificate. And it goes into your file. So you want to work with somebody local, because they get that phone call or that email from a claims agent saying, hey, you referenced that he has 2 children, but I only see 1 birth certificate. Well, now he can get a hold of you and say, hey, do you have the other birth certificate? Quick, get it here. We'll scan it in for you. Because there's dependent pay once you're at 30% or greater. And then later on in life, if that child were special needs, they can actually stay on your claim your entire life. And then if something happens to you and that child is allowed benefits through a service-related death, then that information is already there. That's why working with a claims agent can be so beneficial if something happens to you, because they already know how and who to help. They can pre-stage a lot of stuff so that your spouse or your widow or your children can come in and do what they need to do.
I know we're talking about some of the benefits, also trying to maybe relate it with transition. Another question that I had, and I've been loosely aware of some of the resources that are out there, but what about like training benefits, voc rehab, things like that? Can you talk a little bit more about those opportunities?
Sure enough. Well, of course, you've got your GI Bill, and they can help you with the contacts and things like that, to who to get a hold of. They can send messages off to those representatives and say, hey, we're having a problem getting this child's eligibility approved, even though it was already set up in service, or the pay hasn't started. What's going on holding on to this case? Or we need to get into voc rehab. Now, do you want to go into voc rehab to learn how to set up your own business, how to do business plans and all the other things, and have a mentor to work with you on that? Or do you want to go to college? Oh, you've already got a college degree. Now we need to convince voc rehab that there's a need for you to go back either for a different degree and or
how do you qualify for that? Does everybody qualify for that, or do you have to have a rating?
Yeah, you do have to have a rating.
Okay.
And you do have to show that there's some impact to your employability. So once that's established, or they can work with strictly employment process. Oh, you're looking for this type of job. Are you willing to relocate? Are you, what are your needs to get that job? Oh, do we need to work with that employer? Now you're wheelchair bound? Okay, now we can work with your potential future employer to do ergonomic studies of your work area and provide equipment and things like that. Part of my rating is nerve damage in my arm from my neck and a shoulder injury. And they actually offered me Dragon software when I first became a CVSO, when I found out about the VA. And that's great. But guess what? It doesn't work with the VA software.
Oh man, okay.
Give you a nice shiny new toy that you can't play with.
Yeah, and through that same county or state rep, you're going to learn about their state vocational rehabilitation programs. You're going to learn about their state education programs. Here in Wisconsin, we have 4 additional years, 128 credits of GI Bill from Wisconsin. So if yours is already gone, or you're going to go beyond the need that it covers, the state of Wisconsin, if you're going to a state school, a state college, state tech, gives us another 128 credits of free tuition free. And also at 30%, our dependents get it. Children up to 26 and a spouse up to 10 years after the last child turns 18. So we have the opportunity to educate the entire family here. And if you're not a home of record soldier, all you have to be is living here 5 years. So if you're a, peacetime guy that served, say, in the early 80s, that GI Bill, once you're here for 5 years, becomes another education source for you.
Well, yeah, that was another question I had was, I've been out for 20 plus years. Sean, you're getting ready to get out. Is there an expiration time that you have to get those benefits, or is it perpetual?
No, VA is a lifetime. So I've helped one of my Korean War veterans, suffered frostbite. He had been in a field hospital. He'd been shot. And then the field hospital had been overrun and blown up. And he was stuck in the frozen rubble for a day and a half before a group of Marines came in, saved his life. But we had to go and find one of the Marines to testify, to write a witness statement, what they call buddy statements. You know, it's not certified or any of that. It's just simply, I've known Jim since, this is the events that, and this is how he got hurt. So I actually had to go on the internet and post little messages all over on different Marine sites and different history sites that involve the events of that village being blown up. And finally, after 6 months, a guy called me up and said, I think I'm one of the Marines you're looking for.
Wow.
So he was able to write a statement about my guys being taken out of the rubble, the fact that he had frostbite at the time, and that they warmed him up and a week later put him back with his unit. Well, there was no medical records, but that witness statement is what got my guy not only in the VA, which he, like I, had never heard of the VA as far as what they could do. And he went from never having been in VA to 100% service-connected disabled. And a few years later, when he needed nursing home care, they provided it to him for free.
That's an amazing story. So, hey, Jane, so we're coming down to the last few minutes here. What can veterans and transitioning service members do? How can we set ourselves up for success to really make sure we're taking full advantage of the VA benefits that are out there?
Yes. First and foremost, never fight VA without help, accredited help. VA, the regulation for VA is about this thick. So if you can't understand legal language, you're going to struggle. And there's no reason to. As long as you know what's necessary, what's acceptable evidence and stuff, the veteran service officer will do that for you. An accredited veteran service officer studies that manual. And then they have all the hundreds of backdoor telephone numbers so they can pick up the phone and say, my guy just got cancer diagnosis. I want that claim expedited. Or he just lost his job and he's got 3 kids at home. He's going to be in financial hardship. One past due bill will get your claim moved forward. But who do you contact? How do you let them know? And what evidence do you need? So if you're already out, get with your local VSO. Call your county, your state, and your local posts. They know. If you're still in, organize your paperwork as far as access to your medical records. Well, if you have it electronically now. And then also, if you have injuries or things that happen to you in service that aren't in your medical records, find those guys and gals that will write those statements. He jumped off the back of the Deuce and a Half when we were on a convoy, and his knee was purple for 2 days. Ta-da! That's your medical record. So if you're in and you know where you're going to have your LZ, call that county or state and say, hey, I want to meet this person. I want to talk to them, find out what organizations they're part of. Oh, they're part of DAV. I will use DAV when I go through transition. That way, they will be able to simply, I sign off on their request to view this file, and that new person back home will be able to do it for me. Start your planning. It's never too late. Please do not wait till the last couple months. You will be behind the 8 ball in everything.
Well, outstanding advice. Always a pleasure talking to you, Jane. And I encourage everybody out there, if you're about to transition, you have questions on the VA, reach out to Jane. She is a wealth of information. No doubt she'll help point you in the right direction.
I'll send you all the free tools. You do the reading and then get back to me, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
I still haven't gotten through everything you sent me.
Yes, everything applies. Don't think that the VA pension is only for those over 65. There's unfortunately too many young men and women in the United States that are living below poverty when they don't need to be.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Jane. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Vet SOS show. And remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet SOS Life Preserver. We will talk to you later.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Jane.
All right, welcome back to the Vet SOS show brought to you by the Who You Know Network. Remember, don't try to see a transition. Grab the Vet SOS Life Preserver.
That is
Mark,
right.
I'm telling you, we got a great guest coming up next.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more from Marina. Welcome, Marina.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Sean. How are y'all doing this wonderful Saturday morning?
Outstanding.
Well, it's not morning for all of us.
This
We
is
passed noon
true.
over
You're
here on
right.
the-
I'm sorry if you're on the East Coast. For everyone on the East Coast, my bad. Happy afternoon to you.
So, real quick, we'll go through your bio here.
Okay.
And I love the beginning of this. Marina is a teal-haired, bilingual super connector, master networker, and 24-year U.S. Navy veteran. You really could stop right there. You don't even have to go any further. But
That's
you just have a million other things that you've accomplished already. But I want to hit on a couple of the key ones, such as regional director for the nonprofit 4Block. Fantastic. In 2021, you were selected as a panelist for the San Diego Military Summit and was a guest on multiple veteran-focused podcasts after that, and a guest once again on a transition-focused podcast. And then earlier this year, you were selected as a Focus Forward Fellow with the Military Family Research Institute at Purdue University. And not to be outdone, also the founder and president of the Military Women's Collective, a women veteran-focused nonprofit, where you are empowering, mentoring, and supporting military women throughout their career in the armed services.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find time to do all of this?
Therein lies the question, right? Yeah. Prioritization, she says with a question mark. Yeah, that's really basically the only way I could do it, because I'm. You didn't read. Sorry, there's something in my eye.
No, I didn't read everything. There's a lot more you got going on.
Another thing that I'm doing that takes up even like a lot of my time also is I'm in doing my grad degree right now as well. I know. Like I like to spin plates, put it that way. I'm an expert plate spinner.
Can you tell us, you served, right? You got out of the military, obviously plugged in with a lot of these organizations and VSOs that are around the area. I mean, was that immediate? Did you just jump right into those, or what was your transition like?
So pretty much. So I think Sean probably has a similar story to me. I knew that I was coming up to the end of my career, and I was getting out in 2021, which is, as we know, last year, and COVID happens, and I am like, wait a minute, the world is going to be totally different. I need to find other people that I can, connect with and stuff like that. And so what I ended up doing was going on to LinkedIn, because I've been told, hey, LinkedIn's the place to find connections for professional type stuff. And so that's what I ended up doing. I ended up going on there. And while I was looking around, doing searches and stuff, I found this place, and I'm going to name drop. I found Vets to Industry. And Vets to Industry was the very first veteran service organization I found. And they were doing a networking event. They're on, what, Sean, 33 now? And I think I went to number 4. Hi, Jane. Hi, Michael, and everybody. I see people in the chat. But yeah, I that way they were the first ones, because I was, to say freaking out would probably be an understatement. Because when you get to that last year and you know that you're getting out, I call it the roller coaster of emotion. Because one day you're like, oh man, I'm so happy I'm getting out. No more getting up and having to clean things all day long, or whatever, whatever it is that you're doing in the military, right? That you just think is silly. And then the next day I would be like, oh my God, I'm going to miss all my friends and I don't know what I'm going to do, So, and then the next day you're angry, and, it's such a, when they say transition is stressful, it so is, because there's so many different things you have to be doing all at once. And that's the whole thing of the mission, with Military Women's Collective that you were talking about is that the women's in the center of the name, Military Women's Collective, is warriors offering mentorship, empowerment, networking, and support. Yep.
That's powerful.
It's a great mission. That's a great mission. And that's one of the things that I think is very impressive to me is that, you've got all of these organizations and they're, very veteran centric and focused,
Right.
just in general, veteran in general. So to see a specialization into helping a segment of women, right? Super important, right? We already know that there's already pay disparity, right, between men and women. But can you talk to us a little bit more about what you're finding as you're helping, right? Women that are in transition and some of the disparity as far as maybe the help that they're getting transitioning out of the service?
Absolutely. So, like you said, obviously there's that pay disparity, but there's another thing which I've noticed is that when women, let's say they're looking on LinkedIn and they see a position, women feel the need to be almost 100% qualified before they will actually go and apply. Whereas with men, 60%, 70, hey, if I'm 60% qualified, I'm going to apply now.
It out there.
I'm applying anyway. But the women, as women, like most of the time, will think, oh gosh, if I'm not completely qualified for this, then I just shouldn't apply. If you're mostly qualified, then hey, you can learn some stuff. I mean, you're always learning every day anyway, so why not apply and see what happens? Some of the other things that I've noticed is that women, we need that camaraderie. Obviously, yes, men do too, but I want camaraderie that is, women centric. So because we understand each other, we can talk about things that y'all don't want to hear about, like body things and that's a lot of the stuff that I've noticed. And I just want to make sure that anybody that is looking for any kind of mentorship has that available to them. Anybody that's looking, any women, and we're talking active duty, we're talking veterans, transitioning military, obviously. I want to make sure these women know that they have a place where they don't feel isolated, they don't feel invisible, they don't feel unheard, because I don't know if y'all know the origin story of Military Women's Collective, and a lot of women have gone through this kind of thing. I was sexually harassed by the chief engineer on a ship okay, and this was me as an E5, and this is him as an O5. So if for any of my civilian friends out there that don't understand the rank structure, it's like like a vice president and like an HR specialist or something, type of thing. He harassed me, and then I said something to his boss. And when they brought me in to talk to them, they basically berated me and told me that I was a liar. And months later, I get a call from the JAG, which is the Judge Advocate General, which is the lawyers, and they're telling me, we'd like you to come testify. And come to find out, he got caught for something else. But yeah, he ended up getting kicked out of the Navy because of the stuff that he was doing. The one thing that I always remember when I remember because he was sending me emails from his personal email to my ship email, his email address had the word puissance in it, and the word puissance in French means power. Like that's what he was wanting was power over people. And wow. So ever since then, I wanted to take my power back, and that's really for women. Like I want to be able to just be me and all my teal-haired, awesomeness, and that's what I feel like I'm bringing with Military Women's Collective is that sense of women coming together.
And so you mentioned V2I. That's where you and I actually met.
Yes.
Was on one of their diversity. I think it was the first one. Was it the first one they did?
I think so. It was me, Dr. Destiny Preet,
Mm-hmm.
and oh my gosh, who was the other person? My
I
mind
can see her face. I can't remember her name. I'm not
my mind just went blank. I'm so upset with myself because I know it's somebody I know, and I'm gonna smack myself right now, obviously.
Well, I think for part of it, Brian and I were the only two men even in the group. So Marina decided to pick on me for the better part of, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, but it was all in good taste though. But what I loved about that is, one, being able to listen and really hear a different side of it that you don't necessarily get to. And I think as a senior leader in the military, that's something that we should do. But the other great thing that came out of that is you and I linked up afterwards, and we had at least a 30-minute call.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things you mentioned to me, and I believe I see part of it behind you on the wall, was LTI, the Leader Transition Institute.
Oh, actually, you can't see it. Darn it! I'd have to hear.
It's not that one directly behind you. No,
it's that one.
There it is. Okay.
Oh no! Oh my God! Did I just unplug myself? Oh
no! There we go.
I unplugged myself. Yeah, it's the one that's behind the Bulbasaur. Yeah, I know. My husband 3D prints me all kinds of stuff, so it's that.
I just did it. I did the We to Me. Fantastic seminar, hands down, probably one of the best transition things I've sat through. And you were the second person to recommend that to me, and I wanted to personally thank you.
Great program, it really is. Annie is the bomb.com, and her whole group, like Bruni, Annie, I mean, just everybody that works with that team is so wonderful because, and that's another thing that I really focus on when I'm doing either mentorship with Military Women's Collective or with 4Block or with Veterati, because that's a huge one for me. And Sean, I know you're on there. Mark, you're on there too, aren't you?
Not on Veterati yet. No, I don't think so.
I'm just saying.
I do need to. Yeah, I do need to.
I'm knife-handing you right now.
Yes.
But no, it's such a great place to be able to help people. Oh my goodness. And that's what I love doing. I tell people that my purpose is to be of service to others, but I also feel like my purpose is to help people find their purpose too. Because LTI, Leader Transition Institute, does such a wonderful job of that. One of the other ones that I always recommend with regards to finding your purpose is Commit Foundation's Pursue Your Purpose. That's a great program too. They send you the book design. I keep looking over here because I have the book. They send you the book Designing Your Life. They give you an executive coach. I mean, yes, please.
Yeah. I want to backtrack to something. Yeah, there it is right there.
I want the workbook to go with it.
That's awesome. Skipping back to maybe that first event that you had, and Sean, right? And I think you said Brian maybe were the two men in the group.
Yes.
Do you find that it's kind of a two-part question? Do you find that there's more interest, you're gaining more interest in men joining and getting an understanding and an education on the challenges that, the women's side of it is, right? Or diversity. It doesn't have to be just women, right? But all types of diversity. And then the second part of that question is, can men join? Can they get a broader understanding about D&I, right? Diversity and inclusion, and leverage that during their transition, right, as an advantage?
Oh, that is a great question, Mark. Holy cow. I think they should come to any DE&I. Sorry, I'm just laughing because it looks like a V right here with me. Like, I keep wanting to raise my chair. Even like, y'all, seriously. Like, oh, here we go. But no, I absolutely agree that men should, like, seeing Sean and seeing Brian there, and any of the other guys that did show up. I think Rigo Magano was on there too, and a couple of other people. But I think it's great when men show up, because to me, you're telling me that you want to be an ally. And we need, as women, we need those allies, because find me a woman who hasn't been in a meeting and said, "Hey guys, I got this idea," and then crickets. And then 2 seconds later, good old John Smith sitting next to her says, "Hey guys, we should do this idea."
Yeah.
Excuse me, that was
All the
the
time.
same.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a little head thing, right? Excuse me, that was my idea. And the amount of times that women, will say, like, "Oh, that was my idea." Having a man in there, one of you two saying, "John, that's a great idea. Thanks for echoing Marina's thoughts or ideas." That is an ally right there. You're taking what would have been, something that would have made like disheartening to the woman, and you're raising them up, and you're showing this woman, "Hey, I got you, sis. I got you."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, that's one thing that we're seeing more of, right? As awareness increases. But, and I'll use my local regional here, and maybe this is prevalent everywhere, but I see it here because in Texas,
Mm.
and I'm not maybe even in more of a rural part, but here even in Dallas, I still see it, that good old boy kind of culture, right? And in corporate America, even. My wife was a
Mm.
victim of that, right? In one of
Oh,
her
Mark.
former employers.
Stop
And
it.
it was
Yes.
maddening.
It really is, because and please, y'all know I'm not like some kind of man basher. I'm married to a dude. I promise. Like, but I mean, not that is like, yes, I'm cisgender, but I accept everyone. I don't care if you're cisgender or not. But what I was gonna say was, corporate structure and the military were both started by white cisgender men for cisgender men, white cisgender men. So everyone is a minority trying to break into that, when you think about it, because it was all, I mean, what, 200-300 years ago, everything started as a patriarchal thing. So I always think about this to myself. The military, the people that have served is 1% of the US, right? Women who have served is a percentage of 1%. What? Like, think about, I think we're coming up close to now 3 million women who have served throughout. I mean, we're talking back to Vietnam, and I mean, farther back than that, Civil War, because we had women in the Civil War, and a lot of people don't even realize that. They had to dress as men and pretend that they weren't women, but we did have women in combat all the way back then. So
The original Mulan.
right? Exactly.
So
Don't make me start singing that song, because now you got it in my brain.
So I want to hear more about the Military Women's Collective. But first, please tell the audience a little bit more about 4Block, because 4Block and Commit were the two things that I first heard about when I started this transition. You have to do these two. So before we get into your passion there with the MWC, and I know 4Block's a passion too. I'm not
It is. Yes.
negating that, but please tell us a little bit about 4Block in the process.
Okay. So 4Block, we have, it's called the Veteran Career Readiness Program. And there is also a military spouse one, and it just opened for applications. Wait, hint, hint, I'm stomping on the ground right now, okay? So hint, hint, for all the military spouses that are watching this, Michael, if you know some, Jane, if you know some, because y'all are watching there. Yes, it's 11 weeks. You come out of there, come out of the class with an amazing amount of deliverables. So things like your elevator pitch, because a lot of people don't know what to say and how to say it. You come out with an optimized LinkedIn profile. We help you choose a targeted list of companies that meet both your culture needs and your career goals. You know, that's just a few of the things that we do. Every week, for 2 hours in the evening, and it depends where you are. You know, right now we're still virtual for a lot of it, but some of the places are going hybrid, and then hopefully, you know, we're going to be looking at some more in person next. Not for this one, which is fall, but for spring. But no, you get to meet these employers, and they come and they speak with you, and we do breakout rooms for a couple hours, and it's just a fantastic way for people to find out what's out there. Because think about it, when you're in the military, you are told what to do, what to wear, where to go, when to be there, right? Wow, that was really fast. I don't know how I did that, but I was like boom, boom, boom. But now when you get out, like, I can dye my hair blue, I can wear crazy looking shirts, you know, like you have so many choices out there. And it's about figuring out, hey, if you want to be in the corporate world, do any of these companies meet your needs? And if they do, you already have an in with these employer hosts, because most of the time they're going to bring veterans from all different departments in the company. So I mean, I enjoy it. We learn all these different things. I mean, I've got some great pictures at the end of the graduation where they're all making hearts and shaka signs. I mean, I had tears in my eyes when I was doing graduation. No joke. I mean, you get to know people after 11 weeks.
From what I've heard, it's a fantastic program. I'm hoping to be in the fall one here. So definitely looking forward to that opportunity. So tell us about MWC. How are you helping people? How can people join what you're doing? You know, what assistance do you need? All those things. We need to know about the program.
Oh, assistance would be wonderful. Well, obviously, I'm a 501c3 nonprofit, which means all donations are tax deductible. The kind of things that, you know, I want to do more of is to offer women, you know, empowerment scholarships. But we are and do things like retreats in, you know, places like Big Bear or you know, Palm Desert or things like that, where I can just get women together. We can have fun. You know, for Big Bear, I want to go and do some hiking, but then there's escape rooms there too, and there's the lake. I mean, if we went in the winter time, there's skiing. I mean, so many different fun things and I just want to bring women together, you know, because that's the values that I have for Military Women's Collective is community, authenticity, positivity, empathy, and success. So it's capes. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I see that there.
I
see what you did there.
Right? So, because we're superheroes, right? If you look at my LinkedIn, you'll see a little tiny superhero in front of my super connector, because I feel that all women, like, think about how much women have to multitask and things like that. Like, I feel like that's what we're born to do, is multitask. And so we have to have that cape on to tell us, hey, you know, I got this. I really want women to know that they have other women that can be there to, you know, to mentor them and to empower them and to, you know, sponsor them to, you know, all kinds of goodness, because that is what I felt that I needed when I got out. And so I thought, if I need it, and I know for damn sure, excuse my language, but I know for damn sure that somebody else is going to need it too, right? I mean, that's what the whole point of these nonprofits is to take care of a need that you see.
We definitely broke the family-friendly show model today, Mark.
I'm so sorry. I meant
potty mouth today.
Hey, you know, when you're passionate about it, sometimes it just comes out, and we can definitely tell that you are, Marina. So
oh yes,
We haven't
And,
gotten any of those official military words yet, so that's good.
I have
Yeah, that's
not used. Yes, there's many acronyms that I could say that start with, well, I won't say it. Anyway, we'll stop.
So if
Well-
someone wants to join the program,
Oh, and that was the thing. You were talking about assistance, right? I would love to see if anybody would like to volunteer, because I mean, with being with Vets to Industry, that nonprofits run on volunteer assistance, and I absolutely would love for people to join. If you want to do outreach, or if you want to do marketing, you want to play on Canva and create amazing things to put out to thousands of people, millions of people on LinkedIn, right? That's definitely something that I know myself and the board of directors would love is to bring in volunteers, and then the other thing I have on the website, I've put events that are happening specifically for women veterans or active duty women, so that they can see that there is other stuff that's happening throughout the U.S. Military Women's Collective was created in California, so that's where I focus a lot of my efforts, is here in California locally. I'm in the Riverside County area, which is the county above San Diego, but there are so many women veterans and their families that live up in this area, because it's just half the amount of money that you're paying for your house as you would down there. So I think that's why a lot of women are up here. But we've been getting together and doing things like we went and laid wreaths for Wreaths Across America in this past December. For Memorial Day, we went and we planted flags. So those were all members of Military Women's Collective. And and my apologies, I'm going to break the mold again, because the group that I went with, I call my badass crew. So it's my badass women. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
love it.
Wreaths Across America, great initiative, great event. That to carry the load we just had a little while back here in DFW. So I know you guys, we got to get you connected with Marina. Her LinkedIn information and her website's right there. Make sure that you guys are taking a screenshot. Take a screenshot of her smiling face right here. Blow her up. Tag her in your social media platforms. Make sure that you're showing her the love. And tap into her organizations and her resources, right? Because what a great program. And I had posted a comment. I don't think I saw it come through here, but men, we've got to be advocates, and we've got to be
allies
involved in this initiative, or change is not going to happen. So
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I will echo, Mark, what you said. You have to connect with Marina. I'm telling you, in 30 minutes, I had probably 40 new resources that I had to check out. She was pointing me in the direction of people to connect with, got me involved in different programs. The amount of information she can pass to you in 30 minutes or less is completely overwhelming. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you, she is a super connector, and you need to link up with her. She will definitely point you in the right direction.
And I love doing it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. Love what you're doing. Love everything you're doing. I wish I could manage half of what you do.
Me too.
In the amount of time that I have. But maybe once I'm out of the military completely, I can start getting a little bit more involved. So
yeah.
Thank you again. Let us know if you need anything. We look forward to talking to you again in the future. Thanks so much for coming on.
And if you ever come through Dallas with your ed training, I notice you're an Aggie right now, right? So
I am an Aggie, and my parents-in-law live outside of Dallas, so I do go there.
Well, let us know.
I flew into Dallas to go down to College Station, actually, oddly enough. So I drove.
Let us know next time you're coming in, because we've also got the Who You Know show, and we would love to have you in on the Who You Know show.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. I sent you a connection.
Who you know. There you go. All right. Thank you all for tuning in to the Vet SOS podcast. Remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet SOS Life Preserver. See y'all later.